The transition from a military regiment into a civilian-based learning community can be a challenge for many service persons. Veteran students at San Diego City College have created a toolkit to introduce incoming military personnel to the learning culture to help them create their own successes in college and in life.
Here it was, math is not a hands-on class, and neither is English. Those are the classes that I had. So it was hard to figure out how to start studying because it wasn't hands-on, and I'm used to doing hands-on stuff.
Just being a full-time student, things can be pretty chaotic, and I'm not used to the amount of in-depth material learning. It can be almost overwhelming, I guess.
I thought classes were going to be easy after the military, you know? It's like, oh man, you're in the military? Yeah. Classes, civilian classes, those are going to be so easy. But it didn't go exactly as planned. I thought I was going to get straight A's and stuff, but I worked really hard and I didn't get the results that I wanted to, really.
These students enlisted the help of San Diego City College's MESA program, where they were trained in the standard operating procedures required in the learning culture.
Before I adapted the learning culture, I think I'm just like most students, not quite as prepared, taking things one step at a time, which, it does work, but there's more effective ways to go about learning.
In the learning culture, we tell you, or it's specified how you should study, what you should study. There's instructors and counselors that'll help you plan out your time and things like that.
Utilizing the principles taught in the MESA program, these three vets, along with the fourth vet, Daryl Roddick, helped develop a toolkit specifically designed for military personnel.
So the toolkit is the guidelines for the actual learning techniques. The main one that I adapted that made the biggest difference was the bullet point reading, which is reviewing the section before class and then getting the ideas, actually start to process in your mind before learning them from the instructor.
Then the next step is reviewing or going to class. And while you're in class, you're going to be looking for the big picture, basically. You're going to be looking for what the instructor is really saying. It's oh, hey, you learned the quadratic formula today, or you learned integrals today in calculus. So what are you really trying to take away from it? What's the big picture you can take away from all of that?
Student potential is not questioned in the learning culture. All students have many strengths and great potential, but they can also have gaps. The challenge for these students is to use the learning culture to fill their gaps.
Also, one thing that really helped me was time management. There's an Excel sheet that's in there for that. I was able to figure out, when I'm sleeping, when I'm in class, and the hours I have in between, and hours at home. So then I could try to organize it in a way that I could put, this amount of time for math, this amount of time for, whatever classes that I had for the semester.
Having found success with the learning culture, these veterans want to share what they have learned to equip you with your own toolkit.
Well, go to the Veterans Center, and once you are through the whole process of registration, preparing, for your first class, you're going to get a packet, and the packet's going to have all these different learning styles and tools for you to use.
Adapt the guidelines that are in the toolkit as best as you can. Always improve them.
After I was introduced to the learning culture last semester, I couldn't believe I had been studying without it. It was ridiculous. My grades went from a 3.5 I think to 4.0. That's I don't consider myself very smart, but with this program, anyone can do it. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You came to college, it's your choice. If you want to succeed, this is a proven path. This is a way to do it. So, just my recommendation: use the learning program. It's there. It's a tool.
I vote because I am tired of my opinion being discredited because I am young and a woman.
I vote for the 800,000 dreamers who are living in fear and just want to stay and thrive in this country.
I vote for those who cannot vote from immigrant children to my father.
If I could vote, I vote because love is love and it shouldn't be a crime to follow your heart.
I vote because nobody should have to go hungry or sleep in the streets in the world's richest country.
I vote because women deserve equal pay for equal work.
I vote because people shouldn't be threatened with violence for voicing their opinion.
I vote because no one should feel afraid or ashamed of coming forward after being sexually assaulted.
I voted because I respect my body and no means no.
I vote because the color of your skin shouldn't affect how you're treated.
I vote because people who are looking for a better life are being discriminated against as rapists, murderers, and drug dealers.
I vote because I'm scared of my mom being picked up by ICE on her way to pick up my daughter from preschool.
I vote because if we continue to misuse our planet, we won't be here long enough to have a voice.
I vote because I'm the only one whose choices I control, and I will use that power to make a difference from the planet, the oceans, the forests, the animals, and even my health. I can make an impact, and in fact, I must.
So I'm going to be asking some questions about your job experience and your time in college or in school.
My highest level of education is I have some college. I went to high school, got my high school diploma, went to college, just did about a year. And then just because of some life circumstances and situations, I stopped going to school, but I do plan on going back.
My highest level of education is a master's in education.
What is your highest level of education?
My highest level of education is a high school diploma and some college.
La primera pregunta sería, ¿cuál ha sido su mayor nivel de educación?
Es licenciatura en haber estudiado en la universidad.
Universidad de...
En la Universidad Autónoma de Baja California, en Tijuana, aquí en México.
Okay.
Do you think having an education guarantees a good job?
Nothing guarantees a good job, but it does give you more options in the job field, and it gives you power. When you go apply to jobs, when they see that you have a higher level of education, then you have more options in the jobs, and you also may have higher pay in the different fields that you apply.
Does your education guarantee you a job?
I don't think it guarantees you a job. I think it enforces it in a way, but it really doesn't guarantee a job that you really, really want.
Yo creo que sí.
¿Con un mejor salario?
Sí, tiene mucho que ver eso. Mientras más te prepares, más oportunidades tienes de salir adelante.
Entiendo.
Mientras más conocimiento a veces vayas teniendo, eso te va ayudando sobre todo para ir obteniendo mejores puestos.
Le abre más puertas, ¿verdad? Más oportunidades laborales.
Así es.
I went to San Francisco around the Redwood Forest, and I stayed about 2 months over there, picking and picking vegetables just for the season. It was probably one of the hardest jobs I did.
So do you work in a field?
Very.
How do you feel doing that kind of job?
Oh, that was probably my hardest job. I was working from 7 in the morning to about 1 in the morning for 2 weeks, and we would get paid by the pound. I worked there for 2 weeks, and I came home after 2 weeks. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I walked out with only like $110 in my pocket, and you see a lot of people out there on the fields, trying to do this for a living. I don't know how they do it.
What lessons has your work life taught you?
It has taught me that really without a certain level of education, I can't go anywhere at all. Because at See's Candies, to become a manager, you need to have a certain, some college at least, or a degree, an associate's degree. Or at AB Trading, I knew that I was just going to be stuck there without any education because I wasn't allowed to work at the office space or to be able to answer some calls or prep the orders and send them out.
Sí, así es. Todo lo que hago tiene que ver mucho con lo que yo he estudiado. Soy contadora pública, al igual revisamos inventarios, al igual que hacemos revisiones a diferentes dependencias. Revisamos que todo lo que se hace sea de conforme a ley, de conforme a leyes contables. Así es que sí creo que tiene
tiene mucho que ver, tiene mucho impacto en la educación, en los trabajos que la gente consigue, ¿verdad?
Sí,
no solamente el suyo.
What types of jobs have you done beforehand?
I've done many jobs. Okay, so I started actually working when I was 12, and it was just for fun. And my uncle owned a dental lab, so he taught me how to do all of that in that business. So that was my first job. It was very fun. And after that, I did many little jobs. So, I worked in the swap meet, retail. When I graduated high school, I actually worked for a property management company, and I got hired as a receptionist, and they gave me the opportunity to do bookkeeping, so that was very fun because I got to handle the accounting for the whole company. After that, I did a telemarketing job and calling people to switch phone companies, which was an awful job, but I had to do it. And after that, then I started my teaching career, teaching music, after-school music programs, and then until I applied for this job and I became a full-time.
Mi mayor obstáculo ha sido en lo económico, ya que he tenido que trabajar para poder estudiar, y a su vez el cuidar a un niño. Ese yo creo que sería
el mayor reto que has sufrido.
Mi reto.
What was your biggest challenge towards working for an education?
My biggest challenge towards working for an education is financially. I don't receive financial aid, so they only pay for my classes, but I don't receive financial aid for like living expenses or to be able to buy my books.
So with one income, it's very hard. Both me and my husband, we're both teachers, so that helps. So, but no, with one income, it's really hard to support a family and pay mortgage and pay the car payment and all the bills. But, two incomes as a music teacher help.
So you wouldn't consider teaching a low-paying job?
It's not a low-paying job. It's not a high-paying job.
So this would have to be waiting tables, and I'll tell you why. Because you're up on your feet all day, getting paid minimum wage. On top of that, sometimes you would get customers. The clientele that I would get was mostly American people, white, and usually I encounter a lot of racism. I could tell as soon as I approach the table, they look at me kind of disgusted. would ask for a different server, you know, just because of my appearance. And it was, the customer service, it just wasn't that field wasn't my field. I experienced a lot, sometimes no tip. You know, I was discriminated from the start of the service until the end.
Are you planning to go back to school?
Yes, I'm currently in school. I'll be transferring to either San Diego State or San Marcos or Bakersfield next year during the fall.
What's your most successful job you've ever had? The most successful job I've ever had was working at this clinic where I was a driver for about 2 years. And then the last year we were like 6 drivers, and I started off as the bottom, and then I proved my stripes, and so I became the head driver out of all the other 5 or 6 drivers. And then after I was head driver for another year, there was an assistant manager position, and out of all of them, I got the position. I was there, it would have been 4 years, December.
Alvin Carson.
Where are you from?
New Orleans, Louisiana.
What is your ethnicity?
Afro-American, black.
What was your rank in the military?
I was a gunnery sergeant, E7. Because of my ethnicity, because of my color. You had to do more. If you were a minority, back in the 70s and 80s, you had to do more to complete your goals, to accomplish your goals. 100% wasn't enough. You had to do 300% if you wanted to make it like the other people that wasn't the same ethnicity of you.
Do you feel like you were being mistreated while in the military?
Yes, several occasions, especially back in the 70s and 80s. It's because I was a different color. I seen the light. I knew it. So you had to do more to accomplish what you wanted to do than the other person.
Do you believe the location you worked in affected the way you were treated? And in what way?
Yes, because I was in North Carolina. And North Carolina was a pretty racist state. It was the last state that freed the slaves. So,
if you saw someone being treated unequally, would you have done something about it? Why or why not?
yes, I would. I have done it. I have approached people that was mistreating people only because they were there, because of the color of their skin. I did it several times.
What could be a possible solution for addressing the problems of inequality while in the Marines?
Treat everybody the same no matter what their color. But we are all human beings. Color doesn't matter. It's what's in your brain. It's how much you know, not how you look.
Well, what's your name?
My name is Leo Aligrado.
Age?
Age is 84.
Where are you from?
I was born in the Philippines.
Area, location you worked in affected the way you were treated? Explain.
In some areas, yes, I am, because in some instance, like when we are out there at sea, that was very hard for us to do things that it's almost impossible because we don't see any land, and our food is, as being the manager of the mess, you have to do everything what you can, how you can go ahead and extend the food that you have stored in the ship, and that is the hardest part of it.
And how about an Allstate? Do you think you were...
Allstate insurance is something that, of course, yeah, you have to conform with the state requirements, but it was a very rewarding job.
Did you experience any inequality when you were traveling in the Navy?
Ways how they live, how they perceive us as a representative of the United States Navy, and yeah, it's hard to understand because you only stay there for a few days, and what you learn more is about, you know, once you learn their food or how they eat, and you can tell them, you know, what kind of people they are.
He's my uncle. His name is Idilio Monsiváis, and he's... Yeah, and he's a volunteer cop.
I'm a police officer, yes.
Oh, a police officer. Okay, so the first question is, has the race impacted your work or affected in any way?
Not exactly. There will always be some race factors, whichever race you are. I don't care if you're white or any other race. It is what you do with it what really determines and what will mark the pace of what it is that you want to do. Obviously, if you have no skills, if you have no drive, if you do not have a background, an educational background, or you don't work extremely hard, then you can blame your race for whatever failures you have. But if you work hard, if you study, I'm weary of people that blame the race, like, yeah, I'm Mexican and that's why they don't give me opportunities. You have to make your own opportunities.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Second question is, do you believe the city that you worked affected the way you were treated? If yes, what aspects?
No. Well, yes, but in a positive way. I live in the Denver metro area in the state of Colorado, and this part of the state is pretty much integrated. I think if you believe what you read in the newspapers, that Hispanics account for about 35% of the total population. And we have a very small segment of African American population, but we have Asians and we have Indians and we have other qualified individuals that have come to live here. My wife and I moved here in 1991. In 1991, there were still about 25% of Hispanics. That the city has impacted positively because there are lots of opportunities for people of any race. I mean, here.
Can you tell us more about what you do?
Yes, I am the chief data architect for a very large telecommunications company. I also volunteer with the state police. Mm-hmm. I'm in grad school.
And last question, do you think the time, like in the 21st century, has affected the difficulty in your job, in your workplace?
No, more than affecting. I think that we have now more avenues to attempt to be successful.
My name is Ray Robinson. I am a former Chief Petty Officer in the Navy. I'm retired. I retired in 2007 after 24 years of service. There was a lot of racial divides. It's a powder keg. There were actual gang wars on board. Black versus white. That's the early 80s, mid 80s. All that's rooted out now. When I go aboard ship now, every now and then, it's nothing like that. Everybody's together. Everybody is there to do their jobs, and it's a good thing. We can get married, and we get full benefits. We can live in Navy housing, It's amazing what the difference is. When I came in 1983, my first ship, they did the first testing of HIV. And if you came back HIV positive, you got taken off the ship and shipped back to the States to a medical facility. And 13 of my friends were HIV positive and got taken off the ship and then kicked out because you were gay. Transgenders in the military were up until about 6 months ago when President Trump stopped them from coming in the Navy. It was open, it was authorized. Their surgeries, if they go that far, the Navy would do that. Go through the transformation. It hurt a lot of people. I was on the ship when we didn't allow females on board combat ships, and then all of a sudden they said, okay, females can go aboard ship now, and we had a fit. All the guys on the ship were just going crazy, but came aboard, they're just as good as anybody else. No, change is hard for anybody. You know, for years we never had female on board ship.
Angelica Clone, former MR3 clone. We both served on the USS Bunker Hill for the Navy. I was a machinist repairman. I still am. Currently still serving the reserves, which is fabrication. It's a machinist in the civilian world. It was a love-hate relationship. I did enjoy my time in the service, but I also knew that that's not where I was supposed to be. Male to female inequality. I mean, we were in a shop, around 20 people, 20-something odd people, including her and I.
Then about
just
20
front of the
people?
shop. And it was like 2 or 3 females max at a time. Most were male. And if males were sitting down all day, it was okay. The moment a woman sat down, she was lazy, she was this, she was that, every name in the book. She could sit down for 2 minutes. A man could sit down all day, and that would be okay. A female's looked down upon, basically. And anything she does, no matter how small it is, it's exaggerated compared to a male. So racial discrimination, being in engineering, there's a lot of Filipinos, and the way the ranking system was set up, it was usually a GSM or a GSE who was E8 in charge of engineering, the top snipe, and if they were Filipino, it was over. Every Filipino was taken care of. If they were a different race, then it was somewhat a little more fair, but usually Filipinos took care of each other to the point where they were kind of favored over everyone else in the department. The way our eval system is set up, you could literally not know anything about your job, but if you're qualled in certain watches or if you take on certain responsibilities, you're looked at as, oh, you're a great sailor, but you don't know anything about your job, and you get a good eval. But if you know your job, you do exactly what you're supposed to do, you get a lower eval for not picking up extra collaterals or getting more watches.
Hi, my name is Kristen McNeely. I am 27 years old, current student at Point Loma Nazarene University, graduating in December. I am the mother of 2 girls, ages 10 and 7, and I am an active duty Air Force veteran and current member of the Air National Guard. Currently, I'm a full-time student, and I actually make money off of that because of the GI Bill. But I'm also still military. I'm in the California Air National Guard, and about once a month I'll go up to my base in Moreno Valley, and I am a unit training manager for a civil engineering squadron part-time. I had the opportunity when I moved back to California about 3 years ago to retrain into a new job, and I chose education and training specialist, which translates to a unit training manager at my level. With this current position, I've had a really hard time getting the necessary training that I require in order to be considered fully qualified within my career field, and that isn't the norm in most places. Also, before coming back to California, one of the motivations for me to come back to California was the work environment. When I was active duty, I was a manpower analyst for my last job, and was told that it was a job for white males and that I was basically an equal opportunity hire, even though I basically proved my intelligence to them before they even got to know me. I was able to be top of my class and was very engaged and eager and ready to learn, but I was prejudged before I came into the work environment. After being told that I was in a career field that was for white males, I stayed on in that work center for an additional 2 years, and was able, by the end of my tenure there, I was able to convince my supervisor, and not just me, definitely some grace there, was able to convince my supervisor that I was competent, and by the end they didn't want me to leave, they wanted me to re-enlist, and thought that I was a valuable asset. So it taught me or re-instilled in me the value of resiliency and of having a good attitude and being my best even when it's not expected of me, even when I'm thought of lesser than.